This cow has just jumped out at me.
It's the world's most famous tapestry, telling the story of the Battle of Hastings and ending with King Harold getting skewered in the eye with an arrow. But what if I told you that almost everything you think you know about the Bayeux Tapestry is wrong? History bombs travel to the source to find out the truth about this historic bit of cloth.
And he's giving his blessing to Harold Godwinson to be the next King of England.
No.
No. Sorry, I've completely misunderstood.
No.
Okay, so I might need some help. But luckily I've got it from Fanny Garbe of the Bayeux Tapestry Museum. More from her in a moment. First, some history. In the middle of the 11th century, the King of England was Edward the Confessor, who got that title from being extremely religious. So religious, he built Westminster Abbey. He was really into Normans who lived in France, and at one point he promised the Norman king William that he could take over the English throne from him when he died. But then he changed his mind, and on his deathbed he gave an Anglo-Saxon chap, Harold Godwinson, his blessing instead. But William wasn't too happy about that.
William built a huge fleet. Can we maybe, is it possible to turn off the Hoover?
Thanks. In 1066, he brought a big army over, killed Harold, who was knackered from just fighting some Vikings, and took the throne for himself, as well as the title William the Conqueror. And that's basically what's on the Bayeux Tapestry. So what do we have wrong about this famous treasure? Well, let's start with the name. The Bayeux Tapestry. Sounds simple. It's a tapestry made in the French town of Bayeux, right? Wrong. The only bit of the name that is factually accurate is, the. For starters, tapestries are woven. The Bayeux Tapestry isn't. It's stitched onto linen, so it's an embroidery. And while Bayeux is fun to say, the tapestry wasn't actually made there, or even in France. It was actually cooked up in England, most likely in Kent, so its real name should probably be the Kent Embroidery. We can see why that didn't catch on. To be fair, it's understandable that people have struggled to get a handle on the Bayeux Tapestry because it's old and big, like really old and really big. It's almost 1,000 years old. It was made in the Dark Ages when most people in England lived in houses made out of straw and none of them had tasted sugar yet. And it's big, massive, 70 metres long. It could stretch almost 1.5 times along the pitch at Wembley, although it might get in the way of the game. What else is a surprise about the Kent embroidery then? Well, you might assume that it shows William being all triumphantly conquering and Harold looking pathetic. History is written by the winners after all. Wrong. In fact, Harold comes off pretty well. There are dreamy bromance scenes of William and Harold becoming mates, Harold fighting bravely side by side with William, and even Harold saving a bunch of William's soldiers from, for some reason, a load of quicksand. There might be a practical reason for not rubbing Anglo-Saxon noses in it though. William didn't want to trigger an uprising, so best not to provoke anyone with a pathetic-looking Harold.
He's represented as a powerful man.
Yes, very heroic.
So William was the one who commissioned the tapestry, right? Wrong. It's believed it was actually his half-brother, a bishop called Odo. The reason we suspect it was him is because he keeps putting himself into it, standing near William and looking really wise.
Is that Harold?
It's Odo.
Oh, that's Odo, sorry.
Yeah, it's always Odo. So the tapestry is full of surprises, but at least we know one thing for certain. The most famous scene shows Harold getting a bolt in the peeper.
Here it is, and here's Harold.
That can't be wrong, can it? Well, it probably can. Firstly, the reason we know this is Harold is because of his name being written here, but that is followed by the rest of the phrase, Harold Rex interfectus est, which means King Harold was killed, if your Latin isn't up to scratch. And the chap with the arrow in his eye isn't the only one apparently dying under those words, so Harold might actually be this guy getting hacked with a sword.
It's quite violent, actually.
And even if Harold is the arrow in the eye one, we still probably can't trust it, because from studying the stitching, clever folks have proved that the arrow was actually added hundreds of years later. So it's not from Bayeux, it's not a tapestry, and the most famous thing on it probably didn't happen, and wasn't even on it from the start. which makes the Bayeux Tapestry a prime example of why it's always a good idea to look more closely at historical evidence. After all, look closely here, and you might notice some pretty interesting things. Like the fact that despite it being 1.5 Wembley pitches long, a chunk of it is missing.
It doesn't look very convincing that this is the end of the tapestry.
It's believed it would have kept going for quite a bit more to show William getting crowned in London at the end.
To be continued.
That you can tell the difference between the Normans and the Anglo-Saxons because the English all have moustaches, whereas the Normans
Have no moustaches.
No hair. They were completely shaved.
Completely shaved. Goodness.
You can notice things like this man getting annoyed at his mate blowing a horn loudly, or the way these fellas' hair blows in the wind when they ride really fast. That the Nazis tried to steal it from the Louvre. That it shows Halley's Comet passing overhead. That it features 93 penises, 5 human and 88 horse. That there's a life-size copy of it in Reading made by nuns who replicated it exactly but removed all the penises. Typical nuns. So you might have got a lot wrong about the Bayeux Tapestry, but the truth is even more interesting.
It's the real thing. It's the Bayeux Tapestry.
For more medieval videos, go to historybombs.com, which is great for schools and families. And if you can't hop over to Bayeux Museum, then you can at least hop online to the Bayeux Museum website and access a full digital version of the the Bayeux Tapestry. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Fanny Garbe for showing us around.